more minutes, we can just, shoot the breeze and then we can start wrapping up. But
yeah,
it's such a fun conversation to talk toys with you, Ken. Just awesome.
I actually look forward to just jumping online each day and just hitting you up in the chat group. And despite being in a different time zone, you're up pretty late, which is kind of nice. So I don't have to worry about, oh, he goes to bed at 11, so I have to message him no later than 8 p.m. on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I don't sleep very much, and so it's fun just to talk toys and wrestling, especially. I have to say that I wasn't a big fan of the Forbidden Door, but I think if we can really do something with it, bringing in the New Japan talent, getting some of those crossovers with the bigger players from AEW, I think is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think Tony Khan is in a rock and a hard place, right? Because he has all this opportunity. There's all this other desire, right? Because Vince, with his wrestling empire, the McMahons, they don't have the motivation to do things like cross promote with New Japan, AAA, Ring of Honor. Well, that's now owned by AEW. But you know where I'm going with this: Impact, everybody. They don't have the motivation because they've always had their own internal brand. And with all that desire to cross promote, Tony Khan has all these opportunities and all these stars that are being released or having their contracts lapsed by WWE. And I know we're getting a little inundated with so many new faces every single week, and it's hard to keep up. Like, you miss a week and you missed 10 different people debuting. It's what it feels like. But if you're Tony Khan, what do you do? How do you say no? The fans want it. Your core base, okay, his core base of fans want it. Even if the casuals don't know who they are. And there's opportunity with the other promoters, right? And he's got the money. So I don't know what to do here. Should he start saying no more often? Or does he just need to add more hours of programming and then curate the programming in a way that's easier and structured to follow? Because right now, I don't know who's appearing on Rampage versus Dynamite versus going overseas to New Japan versus the pay-per-views, the cross-promoted pay-per-views, Ring of Honor, AEW Dark, AEW Elevation. I don't know who's appearing where, right?
I'm going to go back to my old man wrestler guy. Mm-hmm. I think if he was really smart, he would use Impact, Ring of Honor, New Japan as an old NWA style territory system, where you could cycle through your talent between different organizations, allow them to stay fresh and move through, have great storylines, and then come back through. And it will help fill the void that you may have with one issue I think with WWE is we're getting another Roman versus Brock match, right?
Yeah, the one I posted about yesterday because I thought it was so stupid. Yeah,
and there's no freshness, and like you hit it right on the head. You don't have that baby face for Roman face.
Yeah, that's why I keep getting behind the Cody bandwagon. He's built his own following. He's walked away from the hateful days of when he was being booed out of the building in AEW, and he's become something the fans can get behind. That's why I think it's a no-brainer. It's got to be him, unless you're gonna have the Rock face face Roman at WrestleMania 39. But the Rock's not going to win the title. That's just an attraction match at this point.
Do you really want to see that match though?
As an attraction, yes. As for future, like, how does it help the future? It doesn't. It's just a one-off match. And what WWE needs is future. I just hope they can do both somehow,
Yeah, I just don't see how. I don't see how that helps Roman at all.
It does if he wins, but also I think it goes a little bit deeper here. Like, can you even get insurance for The Rock if he gets injured in a match?
Well, and he got injured, I think, the last time he wrestled with Cena, right?
And that was 10 years ago, right? Because I remember in 2014, they very quickly, in 6 seconds, jobbed Eric Rowan to him, right? Because that's all he could do was a rock bottom.
Yep.
And imagine because Rowan's a big man, if Rock had pulled his shoulder or something on that, good luck getting insurance on that, right?
And I think when I say it doesn't help Roman, so even if he beats The Rock, it's like, oh yeah, well, Vince just booked that because, it's to make Roman look better.
Hmm.
And I think that's always been what fans held against Roman is they wanted Roman to be a heel.
Hmm.
And he's a nice dude in real life, but man, as a heel, oh, he's chef's kiss.
He's great,
And
isn't he?
and having Heyman with him, it's like huh, that it's perfect. I think you're right. It's future. How do you help solidify Roman as that guy?
Not
And
enough
I think
opponents for him. People are getting behind the whole tribal chief thing, but when it's a guarantee he's going to win and have no challenge, like look, they're trying to rebuild Hogan in its own way. For the first couple of years, you had him face guys like Piper, Orndorff, even King Kong Bundy, but it was the Andre match that really put Hogan over the top.
yes,
Right?
absolutely.
And then he walked away from movie to do movies. Macho Man took the reins, and then you were like, oh my goodness, we want Hogan back. So he came back and he beat Macho, and then he lost the belt to Warrior. His story is a very tellable story. Roman's story, the tellable part is like, oh, he was booed out of the building. He semi-retired. The Undertaker was booed for that. Then he came back to the tribal chief, and everybody got behind him. And now the tribal chief has run its course, and we have nothing new for him. That's the story we got for Roman. And it's just like, man, build something for him. Give us a legit threat to him. End his title reign, even. I know they want to give him the record and everything, but end the reign. Pun intended. But I don't know. Like, give us something. Give us some level of suspense. We didn't know Hogan would beat Andre. We didn't know if Austin, with the deck stacked against him with McMahon, was going to beat him every single time. Right?
Yep.
With Roman, it's a foregone conclusion. He's going to win, right?
Yes, and I think you either, if you want to continue on that path, you have to make Roman more vicious.
Yes.
And what I mean by vicious is he can't be a stupid heel. It's I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to be a different heel than what you've ever seen. I'm not going to be the bumbling heel who has to cheat with the manager to win. I'm going to be the guy that's going to put you out.
Yeah, that's the thing. And the thing that Roman still does that I think is now a mistake, and this was a few months ago, I don't know about now, so maybe I'm a little outdated here, is when he's in a hold or when someone is beating him down and making a comeback in a match, he's still selling like a babyface.
Yep.
He still shows that emotion that's trying to convey sympathy for the good guy. And I think that's just a holdover habit from when he was a babyface, which didn't even work for him. Is it more no sells? Is it to make him more hateable so that when somebody does beat him, it's more gratifying?
How awesome would it be, though, if it was a no sell? Like, he just didn't sell anything, whooped the shit out of somebody in like 2 minutes, walked to the back and just said, yeah, you know why? Because I'm that damn good.
See,
there's nobody here that can beat me.
Remember when Brody Lee did that? He beat Cody Rhodes in 3 or 4 minutes. Remember that?
Yes.
And
yes.
Remember how gratifying the dog collar match after, or was it a dog collar match, or was it a chain match? I forget, but I think it was a dog collar match they had after. How gratifying was it to see Cody win the belt back because of the way he went down the first time?
Yes, because he became sympathetic then because of how quickly it happened.
That's right. So how do you mimic that sympathy for somebody to beat Roman? I know they tried to build a bit of that with Daniel Bryan last year, but they already went down the Daniel Bryan path and his contract was expiring. So they had no so they couldn't exactly go with Daniel Bryan to be the one to beat Roman.
Do you think that Braun Breaker could be that guy?
I'm sorry, who's Braun Breaker again? I'm so bad. Okay, let me quickly Google him because I've been out of WWE for
so
2022.
This is who he is. He's Rick Steiner's son, and they named him Braun Breaker. The man is a Steiner because of corporate WWE.
Okay.
Braun
names. The names. Okay, I'm looking at him right now. Yeah, you can definitely see a Rick Steiner in him a little bit. You've got the same sort of tights with the double strapped tights. Yeah, you can definitely see the Rick Steiner connection in this.
If they could get to where he thought he was a big shot and Roman just kicks his ass and says, "Look, pup, you're not ready to come out here and run with the big dog," and just keeps building him and beating him and then building, that would give you that baby face that you would want to finally see overcome the heel and have that big win.
Okay, so I'm going to throw another curveball your way here, though.
Go ahead.
How about Walter / Gunther? Does he have anything behind him right now? Because when he was in NXT UK, everyone wanted to come over. I know they botched him. They dropped the ball with him a little bit.
He doesn't look this. When he was Walter in NXT, he was, I want to say, he was chubby. No, I'm not going to say it chubby. He was old school wrestling guy. He didn't have that defined body, right? He was like he just was a big dude who he looked like he could kick your ass.
Yes.
And he did that. Now he looks like, hi, I was on the Jenny Craig diet and I lost 43 pounds. Look how awesome I look. He doesn't look intimidating anymore.
I do notice he's chiseled and smaller. Okay, so maybe not the right guy, but that's who I always thought would have been the right guy to come in and beat Roman.
And they changed his damn name to Gunther.
I know.
I don't know if it's just ignorance or what, but I don't get Vince's need to make every Latino wrestler a Lothario. Every Scottish wrestler, I got to talk like this, called Sheamus and Pete Dunne. They changed his name to Butch. Now it's like this really bad rip off of oh God, what's that movie? Lock, Stock, and Barrel.
Yes.
The Guy Ritchie movie.
Sorry, can you hear my son playing behind me? He's got some electronics going right now. You can't hear that, can you?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Okay, go ahead.
It's you have all these guys with so much immense talent, and you handcuff them with such bad gimmicks. Embrace that they're different. The American audience will love that. But every time you call that out, it's just get over it.
Yeah, they call it out a little too much, unfortunately.
Right.
To the point it's overdone and overplayed.
It's a disgrace to anybody who's from another country where you create a caricature of them to make them look stupid.
Yes, big time.
Nakamura, he is in New Japan. He had some of the best matches because he is different, and it was strong style and it was hard hitting. And now you bring him out with, was it Bugs or whatever, this guy pretending to play his guitar. Like, come on, man.
Well, the violin playing was okay.
Yes, but now it's like part of the gimmick where he's got this, stupid sidekick who comes out playing the guitar to it. And it's like, you just killed him. Sami Zayn, playing this, communist left-wing nutbag, conspiracy theorist. It's like, come on, the guy can wrestle. Let him just wrestle. Same thing with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens has a beer belly. He's always had a beer belly.
Yep.
But you know what? He can cut promos and he can wrestle. Let him do that.
Yes.
Yeah, so
they are. I mean, I'd say they're losing it, but they lost it a long time ago, right? It's
Vince
not.
Has that need to have like the Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, Cena body guy.
Always.
And he can't see that the most successful times that he had was when it wasn't those guys who were leading the charge. Andre made Hogan, like you said.
Yes.
Austin
Vince made him.
The 90s and Raw, but one under-credited person was a dude by the name of Mick Foley.
Oh, yes.
Who gave so many of those wrestlers moment-defining matches. The Hell in the Cell match with Undertaker. That Undertaker was a made man, but that made him look more dangerous.
It did. It did.
When he had the match with The Rock with the 9,000 chair shots, that made The Rock more dangerous.
Yeah, in the Royal Rumble. I mean, obviously you can't get away with those things again now. And I'm actually probably going to mention that Foley segment when I do the Iconicon stream with Zazel, Jeff Hicks from World Class BSers, and Bobby from Valaverse, because we're going to do an Iconicon stream here in a week or two. And I am actually going to bring up that Hell in a Cell and how it made it more gratifying the following January, the night that he put all the butts in the seats for Foley to win the title, because you saw what he gave you in the Hell in a Cell.
Fans respected Foley because he was us.
Yes.
He didn't have that muscular body. He didn't have the good looks. He was a fan who became a wrestler and struggled and struggled and struggled and never could get over until the promo with
JR. Yeah.
And Vince finally went, "That's some good shit."
Yep. He represented the everyman in us, and even like a scarred version and rejected version of that everyman in us.
Yep. And Austin was the same way. Austin wasn't made. The Austin 316 was a big deal, right? But when he cut that promo at King of the Ring, but Austin wasn't made until he had the match with Bret Hart.
Yes.
And he got cut open the hard way.
Yes.
And, he bled all over, right? And that was why you thought he passed out.
That's right. They created the sympathy while keeping him as a badass. And the thing, Austin came at the right time, because the 90s was an era of rebellion, right? And it was further exacerbated by the grunge movement, right? Where less is more, simple but effective is better. Like Kurt Cobain did not put a lot of complex solos. Like playing guitar for 3 months, I was able to already do the solo that Smells Like Teen Spirit, right? And that grunge movement and the words of the songs about being a reject and all that, and being a victim and all that, that is what was needed in the 90s. And Austin coming in as the beer swinging, he wasn't made like a superhero. He was the anti-hero, right? And that's what made, Wolverine was an anti-hero. Mr. T kind of was an anti-hero. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
But Austin took that to a whole nother level on a grand stage. And I think they said he sold more merchandise than Hogan even did.
Austin is the best-selling wrestler of all time.
And, it's interesting, too, because that era, and this is a further segue, how you always say you wish you had that number one guy per era, the Bruno, the Hogan. You could say Flair for the NWA, Cena. But that era you had two. You had Rock and you had Austin.
Yes, but you don't have The Rock until he goes to the Nation of Domination.
Boom.
And they let The Rock be who Dwayne Johnson really is.
That's right. And I kind of felt that there was that time where Austin took either 10 months or a year off, and The Rock was the number one guy.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know whether The Rock's, I guess his merchandise probably didn't sell as well for Austin, but I always felt that during that Attitude Era, and like I said, we could probably grab a few of our friends and do a stream on this just alone. But I always felt like Austin, while he represented the everyman and did appeal to the 18 to 49 demographic and probably squeezed the most money out of the 18 to 49 demographic, I felt that The Rock was probably the one who hit all age groups, because that sort of smart ass, the funny gimmick, all the jokey stuff, kids could do that. They couldn't swing beers, right? Old people weren't going to behave like Austin, but they could do a people's eyebrow. You know what I mean? They could mimic the hand gestures of the people's elbow, etc.
He was Hogan. He was Hogan.
The Hogan we needed at the time.
Yeah, but he was that guy, like you said. He did. I mean, think about this. Mm-hmm. He did Saturday Night Live.
Yes, he did. He did.
Twice.
Mm-hmm.
And that showed how talented he was.
That's right. And I'm a big believer that as much as Austin was the face of the Attitude Era the most consistently, and sorry, I'm just pouring myself a glass of hot water if you hear some pouring in the background. But as much as Austin was considered the face of the Attitude Era, I think of that 1999 to 2001 stretch where and almost what I consider the peak of the Attitude Era, I think The Rock pulled even, and in some ways ahead of Austin.
I think that the thing with the two of them is they were different.
Yes.
Austin was the guy who was fighting against his boss, who was the rich dude. Yes. So for a lot of downtrodden folks, he was their anger and their angst.
Yes.
The Rock is the joy, because good looking, charismatic, he had that smile. He's the guy you wanted to be or to be friends with.
Yes.
Austin was the guy you felt most connected to because of just the angst, like you said, of the 90s. He hit that note. Mm-hmm. But absolutely, The Rock was the superstar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the only issue is The Rock was everything to everybody, so he never really connected to a core audience.
That's right, because he hit all the demographics kind of equally, whereas Austin hit that 18 to 49 in the sweet spot, is what it is.
Yes.
And I think they squeezed all the merchandise in that 18 to 49 sweet spot. Whereas The Rock, you could be 6 years old and be a fan. You could be 66 years old and be a fan.
And I think Austin's merch was just better marketed. It's Austin 316.
That's right.
It was a simple shirt.
That's right. You could more readily wear that than wear a shirt of the Brahma Bull or Lay Us to Smack Us Down. Although I'd rather wear a Brahma Bull shirt. I didn't connect with Austin 316 much. Maybe because I was a Brett guy, so I cheered for Brett before when he was going against Austin, and I cheered for The Rock when he was representing the corporation against Austin every time. So I wasn't really an Austin guy. In fact, the Austin I like is the one who sits there for the Stone Cold Broken Skull sessions on WWE Network.
Yeah, because you see it different. That's the all versions of Austin. I think Steve understood. This is the other thing. The Rock played a character, which is easy for more people to like, where Austin was a gimmick.
Yes.
Which it's geared more to a certain audience. You either hated Austin or you loved him.
Yeah, but the majority that did like him were very vocal because of what he was. Right.
Yes.
And that's why that era succeeded so much, because in any era, like, look, you could say you had two number one guys. I mean, The Undertaker has all the qualities of a number one guy, and he was there too, right? So,
but Taker had a gimmick. It was a select audience. And let's be honest, Taker, after the corporate ministry, he became the American Badass. He made that change that he needed to.
He did.
Which refreshed him, because when he did go back to The Undertaker, it was like, oh God, how much did I miss him being The Undertaker?
Yes. They took it away to give it back in time.
And having a gimmick compared to a character gives that performer, that wrestler, the opportunity to do that.
Mm-hmm.
WWE did have a guy like that during the Cena era. His name was CM Punk. And he did
Yes.
something that nobody else did by cutting that damn pipe bomb.
Yes.
And that was an Austin 316 moment.
It was. That pipe bomb was something else.
Because that was that generation's angst. It's the grunge era. That was that generation's angst against Cena.
And I know you're talking more about Punk here, but what made Cena equivalent to the all-time greats, at least in the eyes of the demographic at the time, was that he had opponents like CM Punk, like Edge, like Orton. If I'm not mistaken, those were three of his key opponents: Edge,
Batista.
Orton, Punk, Batista. Right? He had those. That's Roman doesn't have that. Going back to Roman for a second, right? And we can talk about Punk again if you want, because I'm staring at my CM Punk figure right now as well. It's on the other.
No, but his big moment was, this is where I think, as if we're talking creative, and I don't think Vince had a hand in this. This was one of those things where it's just like, just let him say whatever the hell he wants. And he cut that promo. They cut off his microphone. He comes out the next week with the bullhorn. He starts in, but then they go to that pay-per-view. And the pay-per-view is in Chicago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you go back and watch that match, it's like a pop I hadn't heard since the Attitude Era. When his music.
Yes. Punk is known for that because he just had another one of those pops a year ago, less than a year ago.
Yes, but it's because he went. But when he won that title, that was his Austin versus Bret Hart match. That made both of them.
It did.
In my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You then have Punk go to San Diego Comic-Con and ask a question to Triple H, which made people go, "Oh shit, is this real?
Mm-hmm.
Am I being worked or is this real?"
That's right.
You want to make Cody? Could Cody be the one for Roman? Abso-freaking-lutely. He's the son of a plumber, son of a wrestler of a son of a plumber. It's Dusty Rhodes' kid. But make people care about him before you let him face Roman.
Yes.
I think Cody coming home to the WWE after AEW is what people appreciated, because I think Cody is comfortable with who he is finally. Do you think that match with Seth with torn pectoral is his made moment?
I actually haven't gotten around to seeing the match yet. I've seen photographs of it. I've read about it, but it got a lot of the hardcore fans talking and basically saying, my goodness, he showed up with a torn pec and he wrestled a match and it was a hell in a cell. Right. I mean, do I need to watch that match, Ryan? Like, would you recommend it as a good match to watch? So it's at least a 4-star match enough that it's worth my time. Okay. Okay.
It made me want to see Cody win because I respected him then.
Okay. Okay. So it's a respect and it's also a good match. I saw their Mania match, right? Because I just had to, the pop and the people who hadn't seen Cody for so long. I remember showing the entrance to somebody who his last memory of Cody was Stardust, right? And when you hear wrestling has more than one royal family and the logo pop up and Cody pops out looking like $1 million, and the guy I showed it to was like, I remember Stardust. What happened to this guy? Like, he's a made man now. Like, this is a star. Like, this is a legit star. Top of the card star. And I'm just like, that's the Cody we had in AEW, but now in a WrestleMania entrance, because as much as I love AEW, I don't know that they could fill a stadium the size of WrestleMania yet. They will, I'm sure. Maybe Forbidden Door is that big of a crowd. I'm not sure. But for Cody to get the WrestleMania pop was something gratifying.
And I think the Forbidden Door, though, is a gimmick to get them to fill that. I think WrestleMania is because you earned that title.
Fair enough. Right. And again, I want to see AEW be as hot as, and In the eyes of the 18 to 49 demographic, it is as hot as WWE. But to hit that mainstream audience, push WWE to be better, get better writers in place. Can wrestling be great again? That's a whole nother stream that we need to do. Can wrestling be great again?
Well, and maybe it's look at how people communicate today and use that. So I'm going to throw you at this quick situation. MJF, right?
Yeah.
So it's reported that he doesn't show up to the meet and greet. And people are like, oh, shit.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yep.
He goes, he does the job to Wardlow, which that's because he does his job. Instead of you having him come out on your next TV show, where we all go, yeah, Tony wouldn't let him done it unless it was approved. You let him cut that promo on his Facebook Live. And because we're all marks, and that's not a derogatory term anymore,
no,
that gets shared through social media and becomes viral. You then, as AEW, take down mention of MJF from your website, you take down all his merch, and you let him turn this into this, guerrilla style campaign against Tony Khan. And you then say MJF is no longer with AEW because of conduct unbecoming, right? But AEW contracts allow them to wrestle for other promotions, right?
Correct.
So then all of a sudden, CM Punk hurt. So now you're going to have this intern champion, which turns out to be Jon Moxley, right?
Yep.
And so then you have this Forbidden Door pay-per-view coming out. And Jon Moxley's going to wrestle somebody from New Japan Wrestling. And the ultimate screw job from New Japan to Tony Khan would be MJF's music hits, and he beats Jon Moxley.
You know what? That would be, I would love to see that. As for the whole let him cut it on his Facebook or let him cut it on his social media, they want ratings though, right? And they know that everyone's waiting to hear from MJF. As for the whole thing about squashing to Wardlow, did you notice? I think we talked about it the day of. I was messaging you. Did you notice that match went on first?
Yes.
And I think Meltzer said it was always planned to go first, but I'm having a hard time believing that. You want...
I think it was because he wanted to get the hell out of there. They just wanted to...
That's what it is. He wanted to hit the showers and get out of there. Maybe he didn't even do that. Maybe he hit the showers at the hotel and said, screw you. I would... Because if you're trying to build pay-per-view momentum upwards towards the card, you put that in the middle of the show, you put it third from the end, you make it the semi-main in some way, maybe second from the end if you don't need, unless you want a palate cleanser after. You start an event like that with either the tag team title match, the three-way title match, tag title match, or you start with Young Bucks versus Hardys. You build adrenaline. You don't start with 10 power bombs in a squash match. I think he just wanted to get the hell out because that was probably the second most, if not the most anticipated match on the pay-per-view.
And it deflated the pay-per-view right from the start.
It did. We were talking about this. We're like, they need to build some momentum because you were talking about the pay-per-view and you're like, this has not been a good pay-per-view. And I was, me and my glass half full mentality we were talking about earlier, the last 2 or 3 matches saved it in my opinion. But if MJF versus Wardlow had been allowed to be a proper match and built towards the end, you might have had a little bit of a different feeling.
Right. And remember when we talked about when Tony Schiavone says during that WCW, and if you remember Mick Foley, who used to wrestle here as Cactus Jack, wins the title on the other show.
Butts in seats. Click.
That's what I mean by creating that through social media because you want ratings. MJF comes out and says all that crap about Tony Khan. You know that people are going to turn in TV to see what Tony Khan has to say.
Okay, fair enough. I got you.
Think about this. They sold out the United Center. AEW did. On the rumor that CM Punk was going to be there.
It was all but confirmed as a rumor, but yes.
That sold out, though, on a rumor that he was going to be there.
But that's true. It was never
went
actually
fast.
confirmed because they still have the if Punk doesn't show up, we riot feelings
Yes.
about that. So yes, it was still very much rumor. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You know, you should almost cut this into 2 episodes. Like when we wrap up the G.I. Joe part, you almost need like an outro screen saying Ken and Ryan shoot the breeze about wrestling after the fact.
I think I'm going to put like it's an extra wrestling extra with Ken and Ryan.
Yeah, like I don't know if we had a good cutoff point or if you just want an end screen saying continued in a different thing, because we probably should have wrapped it up. Whatever. You're more casual than I am, so
I am. Yeah, and that's what makes the show fun. It's it is what it is. So
yes,
but yeah,
yes.
no. Wrestling for me was magical, right? It's just magic. Superheroes, real life superheroes.
Yes.
Seeing Hogan slam Andre the Giant. Oh,
so gratifying. The pop.
Because nobody thought, and the worst thing is we didn't know any better, but that happened so many times before.
Yeah, like at the whatever field it was, I forget. He'd slammed them at least once before, but I think he was a bit lighter. Like I think he was 450 instead of 520 pounds. Not that that's easy to slam either. But yes.
No, it was people didn't know it. People didn't know that Andre lost. People didn't know that other people had slammed Andre. Because Andre would be like, slam me. And you do it because Andre told you to.
Yeah, because it wasn't shown on that wide level, right? And that's the difference and the power of the internet these days that we all talk about. Oh, man. That's why we crave the good old days. I mean, do you have this with hockey where you crave the good old days? Not necessarily, right? I mean, maybe you do with the Red Wings dynasty a little bit, but it's not the same. Like hockey can still be great, and it still is great in many ways.
The only thing I miss with hockey is not like just before the Red Wings won the cup, when they learned how to win.
Yes.
Right. When Bowman came through, that's when I was like, that was when hockey was the best. To get to that mountaintop, to get that monkey off the back. And I've been a lifelong Red Wings fan since the 80s when they were the Dead Wings. Like so much heartbreak.
Yes.
But to see Stevie pick up that cup and carry it was like, it was so emotional because he's the ultimate baby face and he won that title. That's what wrestling gives you. That emotional moment where as stupid as this sounds, when Shawn Michaels beat Bret Hart in that Iron Man match or whatever it was, and he takes the title and he puts it to his head and you can see emotion from him.
Yes.
You understood that. That's what wrestling can do. It takes you on that ride. It plays with your emotions. It's magical. And I want that magic back.
100%. And is Yzerman the greatest captain in history? I know I'm asking a Red Wings fan.
I think the gentleman from the Islanders when they won all those cups.
That wasn't Mike Bossy. That wasn't Mike Bossy, was it?
Yeah, I think it might have been him. I think he was the best captain.
Okay. A lot of people will say Mark Messier.
But Messier was on the team with Edmonton, and let's just be honest, that was like the ultimate super team. Because not only did you have Gretzky, Messier, Yari Curry, Paul Coffey, I mean, they were just freaking loaded. Grant Fuhr. I mean, you learned to win because you were skating with the best players in the world. I look at those captains who are the best are the ones who learn to win, and you can see it. Hockey players, when things go bad, they take responsibility for it personally.
Yes.
And when things are going good, they talk about how it's a team effort. That's what makes hockey such a lovable sport.
Right. That's right. So, okay. Hey, fair enough. Another segue here. Could almost do a hockey chat altogether as well.
Yeah. Now we know that we need to maybe do something like that as the season comes back around.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I'm a little out of the loop as to who some of the players are now because I left all my hockey pools just because I did them for so many years. I got tired of keeping up with toys, hockey, wrestling, MMA, television, movies. I was like, okay, I got a little tired. I left my hockey pools a few years ago, but I could talk a little bit of that old school and recent years hockey, just not
yeah,
too recent. So,
sometimes it's just talking about some of your best memories of hockey.
oh yeah,
Whatever
absolutely. I
it
mean,
is.
none of my memories involve winning a cup because the team I cheer for just can't win one. So, you know,
You guys, you're a Canuck fan, I'm going to assume then, right?
oh yeah, big time
You
beret and
guys
all
had,
that.
you guys had some great players, and on the precipice a number of times too.
I
Just
know.
yeah,
Game sevens of cup finals and all that. Yeah.
the Sedin brothers were amazing. You guys have had so many great players, though. So many great players.
And so much heartbreak as well. Like I want to look forward, but I mean, a team like the Avalanche just look unbeatable, and they're in our conference. So it's like, okay, wonder how many more years this is going to be.
Yeah, but I remember watching the New Jersey Devils sweep the Red Wings in 4 games when it was supposed to be our time.
Yeah, like you're talking 03 or you're talking 95?
No, 95.
95. Oh yeah, you would have had Sergei Fedorov in his prime.
Yeah, we had everybody. We had, Keith Primo. We had a lot of great players. It was the Red Wings were finally going to make that step, carry the cup, and they lost in
Yeah, but
4.
who did you have on the blue line that was great? Because what's his name? Lidstrom was still very young.
Yeah, but we had players. So you had Fedorov, you had Primo, you had Yzerman, we had oh God, now you're making me think. Yzerbart, we had Coffee on the blue line. We'd made that trade.
Oh, you had Paul Coffey. Okay, there we go. There's your number one. I'm not sure if he was still in his prime. Oh no, he probably would have been because he was winning cups in '92 with the Penguins. So '95 wouldn't have been that far removed from those years. So yes, if you had Coffey and you had a young Lidstrom, okay, then you probably should have won. But that was also a trap system situation,
but
right?
We also had Konstantinov, we had Slava Kozlov, we had Steve
Yes.
we had players.
Well, did you have Steve Chaser, or had he gone to Calgary, or did he go from Calgary to? I'm trying to remember now. Did he go from Calgary?
No, I think they did trade him just before because Chiasson had toughness. What ended up happening is once that took place, the Red Wings changed the way they built their hockey team.
Okay, I gotcha.
And they had to get tougher, and they had to get grittier, tougher players. Coffee was dealt. Primo was dealt. We got Brendan Shanahan, who brought scoring, but he also brought toughness.
Yes.
We went out and made trades later on to get Fetisov and.
Well, you did have Bob Probert, but he was a fourth liner. Like he wasn't going to play your big minutes.
No, and Probert was gone by then because of the drug issues.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Cocaine pro.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So another hockey episode we could talk about. Did you want me to pop? I mean, is the ongoing joke still that you don't want subscribers, or should I not share this video on my community tab?
Go ahead, share it. I'm fine with that. I'll still joke. Don't subscribe, just because it's funny to me. I think it's just hilarious.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I think we're so bad. We're just there's no structure. It's just buds talking. But I like that.
So the day that you hit 100 subscribers, will be a day of mourning for you.
Pretty much, yes. I'll come on. I'll be like, I hit 100 subscribers today. Please, somebody just unsubscribe so I can get to 99 again, please. I told my wife to unsubscribe because I wanted 99. No, it's. I know that we're not good, and I don't care. It's just about talking.
But it is good. It's just not. It's not cookie cuttered in a way that's conducive to the broad audience, and that's your intent. But that's what makes it good from the perspective that you're looking from.
Yeah,
but that's the good that you want, right?
Yeah.
No,
there's so many of you guys that put out great content. Like, you do a great job. Zazel does a great job. I
appreciate
really
that.
respect your channel because of I can see the dedication, passion, and you're always trying to get better. And I respect that. And I don't want to take away from that, but I know where my strengths are, and it's just BSing with my friends. So,
And that's totally okay. I mean, you know, the more the merrier. If other people come in and do similar things, and it grows the audience, because look, it takes a lot of horsepower for me just to put a 10-minute video together. And if I put that out once a week and I do a podcast once a week or every other week, what do you like? I don't have the content to fill someone for 7 days a week. So I want people to subscribe to Zazel's channel or the other channels that we talked about. You know what I mean? Or to listen to you kind of BS on here for a little while, or your friend Travis there from Toy Kinda Mood. You know what I mean? I want people to be able to say, okay, well, you know, it was Sunday and I watched Ken's 10-minute video, and then Monday while driving to work, I listened to Ryan, and then Tuesday while driving home from work, I listened to Travis, and you know, Wednesday, Zazel put out a Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship, and I watched that when I got home. Like, I want people to have that, because I want YouTube to be that on-demand thing, like Netflix is, and just to play my small role for a short time every week.
Yeah, because this is enjoyable for people.
To be a cog in the wheel while having a community aspect that the big streaming services don't have, right? That's why I appreciate your Patreonship and your channel membership on my channel, because it allows me to be a little more motivated to keep doing this stuff, right? Whatever the amounts are, right?
And it's because I appreciate and I understand and respect all that effort you put in. So yeah, thank you for sharing. That's cool. I joke about it. It's fun. I don't think I'm going to change it, because this is what I enjoy. And if I can have people come on and just like share, you know, all these stories and go from topic to topic, I'm cool with that, because it's just fun. It's people talking.
Yep. No, with me, like I said, this almost had enough structure that you could actually do. That you actually will be slicing it into a second episode. You know,
Yep.
Post show, after show, wrestling talk. You know.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. It's 2 hours 30 minutes, and I know that it's Father's Day, so I try to be respectful. It's my shortest show yet, so I'm appreciative of that. But we need to do something like this again, and I think we're planning on it. So.
Well, next week you're gonna be on with me, Zazel, and Gaz to talk about the Monday Night War.
Exactly. So I can't wait to do that. So Ken, thank you again for joining. I truly appreciate it. You're a great man, great friend.
Anytime,
and,
man.
Have a great Father's Day, bud.
Yep. You too, buddy. Thanks again.
Thanks.